All right, from data to deals, turning insights into revenue. Let's clear up any misconceptions there are when it comes to hotel sales data and how that applies to measurable revenue results. So first question to you, Mr. Nick Horgan from Amaze Insights. What are we talking about when we say hotel sales data? Anyways.
Great. So it's an excellent question, Cory. And on the Amaze side, what we're talking about really is the sales data. So understand what's happening, especially in a complex organization where you may have Hiltons, Marriott's, Hyatt's, Independents, all using different sales systems, but you really need to understand what's happening across an entire portfolio. On the Amaze side, what we do is we normalize this data into an easy to understand data set where it really matches across an entire organization. And then we also provide the data in a way that is easy to understand and really action. So looking at your pace and productivity across an entire portfolio to really understand what's happening across the entire business. But it can go much deeper to that into different sets of data, but really on our side, what we're focused on is that sales data and what you can do with it.
Wonderful. So now, Celeste, to you, those data points and what Nick just talked about, what does that mean when the data is there? And what does it mean to turn that into measurable revenue?
So what's interesting is this has come a long way. This is iterated over the years. So when I was at property and then above property, the amount of manual data scraping that we had to do, I think at one point I had 7 different brands in my portfolio. And there was a lot of time spent and a lot of unknowns about where are we seeing similarities, where are we seeing disparate data, and how do we make sense of this data in order to then have a strategy from the sales side. And people that are outside of hospitality don't realize that most hotels have a sales team. They're like, what are they selling? Like, they don't understand what sales is selling and the component that sales has on catering, banquets, group business, transient, business travel, etc., and all the different segments. So what Nick and Amaze have been able to do is provide roll-ups of data that then sales teams can take action on. And this really stems from sales leadership, right? Looking at the data to then determine how do we roll out a strategy, whether that's a short-term strategy to fill need periods, whether that's a strategy when recently like government business went away and we have to backfill it. In traditional sales, before this data came forward, it was always the responsibility of the revenue management team to backfill those dates and to figure out a long-term pricing strategy in order to go after that business. And now some of that ownership is being transferred over rightly to the sales team because you have the insights as to if we 6 months from now have a hole or we're seeing a trend across a certain portfolio of hotels, we can take action on that. So that action looks like diving into AI. We've done this with some of our customers to fill need periods and specifically starting to attack those need periods so that your team can take action on them. And what has transpired is that information is so readily available now with the help of AI and GPT. You can take action immediately to have a strategy set up that your team can call on, social sell against, gain referrals, dive into your CRM. But if there's still that disconnect between, we'll call it corporate, the corporate sales team looking at this data and then not including the property sellers on what to do with this data, we end up to where it falls on revenue management to backfill. And that's when we start getting an influx of OTAs. We're basically having to buy business. We may have to drop group rate to fill. And that is not a long-term profitable strategy. So the insights from Amaze allow you to set strategy at the property level that's going to be more profitable because you actually can create a strategy around it. So just a shift that's happened. Totally wish we had that, and it hasn't been that many years. So kudos to tech and the advances in technology.
Wonderful. Second question, back to Nick, is why do great insights matter anyways? And then secondarily, why are those insights not always gleaned and extracted to generate the business that it could? To select?
Got it. So really in looking at that, the key is, and this is true of Amaze, is true of every tool, you still have to take the actions. So even if we spoon feed and give you, this is exactly what's happening, you still have to have the team that's going to execute on the plan. But what I would say is what you absolutely can't have is flying blind into it. So you have no idea what's happening, and then you're trying to adjust your strategy to meet what's happening without having a right handle on what's happening in the market. And I think we're seeing right now, there's incredible pressure. 2025 in the hospitality industry was a relatively tough year with costs going up, revenue and uncertainty being where it was. 2026 is looking like it's going to be similar to that. So I would say right now it is more important than it has ever been to be able to have the right data, to adjust your strategy, to really understand this is what's happening in my market and this is what I'm doing about it. So I know those meetings with the ownership groups and the asset managers, those meetings are relatively hard right now. And if you don't have the right story to be able to tell and go forward, then I think it's going to make for a really tough environment for you.
Great example. Okay, so we have these amazing data points. So Celeste, why does that not always transition it into the bottom line revenue, right? That's where the magic is.
So I think one of the reasons why it doesn't translate is because I'll say knee-jerk reactions. Fortunately and unfortunately, the hospitality industry lives and dies by the report that comes out every single week, the STAR report. And if you had a tough week, it's a lot of looking in the rear view mirror as to why that happened and how do we prevent that happening from in the future. If we're starting to lose, whether that's share in ADR, whether it's RevPAR, like where's that coming from? Occupancy, ADR. Why it often doesn't translate is I think because the industry is so busy, it is transient, right? Most hotels are turning over 1.5, 1.75 nights. So every 1.75 days or 2 days, people are in and out. So you have this constant hamster wheel of trying to sell and pricing and adjustments and what's happening. But then overarching, we still need periods. We have groups that have fallen out. We have holes. We have groups that aren't going to repeat. We have citywides. We have compression that no longer compresses. We have no competition coming in. And then we have a lot of people weighing in. We have ownership. We have the bank. We have regional. We have ops. And everybody's going in a different direction because ultimately we're all trying to get to the same goal, which is to be profitable, to beat our competition on the star, improve our star ranking, and ensure that we're taking care of our guests and our customers and our employees. But often a long tail approach in today's day and age, when all of us want a quick win, is tough. It's tough to say we are going to ride the storm when you've got a lot of outside pressure. So I think what we're going to start to see, and maybe something that I will seed, is this division of people who are working on like the day-to-day strategy and the doers and the RFP responders that are keeping the cogs in the wheel going. And then this kind of subset of sellers who are out there working on the long-term strategy. They're more what Nick has come up doing, right? Building the long-term partnerships. They're hunting for business. I do predict that we are going to move into that model because it's going to be the only way that we can have a long-term approach to building business, but then also maintaining everything that comes in. So that is one way, if you're watching this, that I would encourage you to start looking at. How do we manage the business that we have incoming and use some of like our softer skills or admins or AI tools to respond to RFPs, and then use some of that human capital to be focused on hunting, prospecting, partnerships. Do our highest paid sellers really need to be doing a site visit or responding to RFPs? So I think that's maybe the shift that we'll see coming in a way to support the data. If the data says we need to be thinking long-term, do I have a seller that is just focused on business 3 years from now? Or are they focused on what's coming in now? And now I have to go do this, and that 3-year focus gets dropped. So that is my prediction of one way that we could get around how do we take these insights and then translate it into a strategy. But I'd be curious as to what you guys are seeing there as well.
Celeste, your take on this is so right on. And I know that you and Cory really understand the need for training and understanding, and in a way that you have to be able to do and execute on it. And I think really importantly, what you captured is the challenge of the responding to RFPs. And a lot of that is, to meet the challenges, you're responding to a lot of RFPs that you're not going to get. And the reason you're not going to get them, it's not because you're not executing at the level, it's because the same RFP is being sent. They made it very easy to send the same thing to a relatively large group of hotels. That meeting's only happening once. So if we're all tracking it in our sales system, that one meeting that, let's just say for simple math, it's $100,000 meeting. If it's showing up in 8 different places, then that's $800,000 of potential revenue, but it's not, it's $100,000. So that's, to me, it's just really interesting. And your understanding of the business is helpful to see what's happening.
Those are 2 fantastic points on that. I also want to say that the wait and see is not scalable. It's like the whole notion of word of mouth or referrals from people. That's not scalable. The only thing to scale business is proactively and going outbound, which is exactly what hotels are going to have to do to weather what's coming, right?
Could not agree more. Although I will say we on the Amaze side have gotten a huge part of our business from those referrals. So please keep those coming, because there's nothing better than that. And really the service you are providing when you tell others about a company you enjoy working with, it makes a huge impact. So please keep doing that.
No, absolutely. Nick, your source of referrals comes because you are proactive. You've got both levers going.
Absolutely.
You're not sitting there in beautiful Carlsbad waiting for somebody for...
I'm just waiting for the phone to ring. If someone wants
not
these
right.
amazing insights, they're going to reach out, right?
No,
They
man.
know about me. They have to.
We don't call you the super connector for nothing, man. All right.
Appreciate that.
Earned that. I will
Absolutely.
say, if anybody's watching this and Nick makes it look like he's closing deals left and right, kudos to him. He has put in his time planting those seeds, building the connections, nurturing, referring. It is what we all aspire to do, but don't think that hard work and that foundation wasn't like years in the making.
Thank you for that, Celeste. And I really do appreciate both of you.
Not to age you at all, but like you've done your time.
Absolutely.
I have been doing this for a little while, and that it's a little embarrassing, like talking in the early stages. Couldn't you just Google it? I was like, Google it. There was no Google when I started doing this. You could send them an email. Nope. There was maybe there was email, but no one else had it. So they didn't have a computer in the office. So when we were pitching Delphi. So again, yes, I'm no spring chicken, but I still love what I do. I love it, and people and connecting. And that's the other part that I think is important when we're looking at sales on that. A lot of what I'm talking about in the industry actually is not Amaze, and I'm fine with that. And my CEO knows that's the case, that I am going to be someone that people come to when they're looking at PMS, revenue management, different things. And I love connecting and bringing people together. Or if they need sales training, I'll happy to introduce them to Celeste. And then what that does, I do it because I love doing it, but then it does, people know that really you are there to help them and solve problems, not just trying to always sell your own solution. And that I'm in sales because I love solving problems, not because I love actually selling. So
You are a classic example. I'm reading that book by Dale Carnegie again for the 3rd time, because it's still a tried and true roadmap of how to win friends and influence people.
favorite book of all time.
Holy moly. I just listened to another podcast on my bike ride yesterday. I'm like, man, Nick, you should be on the cover of that book, because and it's more relevant today than ever because of AI and the whole trust thing that we talk about. Trust it's at the pinnacle. That's a gold standard of a business now more than ever. And you're right. And I think that when you lead with example, not always having to ABC, always be closing, talk about how to help people, that reciprocity element, because you've helped so many other people, naturally, you bring people together. And I think that's a fundamental element of business. I think a lot of people in hotel sales could really learn. All of us could learn more from that, but getting,
You
we-
both do that exceptionally.
okay, sorry, we lost you there, obviously.
One
The-
thing
the I had the CEO calling on that, and I'm doing it from my phone. So, so Jamie, if you're watching the podcast, I guess I was screening you, but when I hit that, it did freeze everything up. I need the red light with like studio recording.
And Jamie, by the way, it is worth it, by the way, because this isn't, right?
I'm with these industry
that.
icons.
I will piggyback on something that Nick said just really quickly is when it comes to referrals and building that trust because you've worked with someone, I'm amazed. I keep saying that. It's just so fitting.
I love that. That's not accidental, but go ahead.
Hey, this isn't a paid spot for these insights, by the way. Just disclaimer.
How many sellers, when I'm in the trenches and we start talking about TripAdvisor and everywhere that people leave reviews, and then I start asking them about their own personal reviews and where they're capturing that information and why it's not online or LinkedIn. And they look at me like I have two heads of, I never even thought about that. And the downstream effect of that is you get to a point in your career where you realize all of the deposits that you've made and the things that you've done, you start to see it come back. And it is such a great feeling when someone gives you a referral or you're able to be in a conversation and someone says they know you. But that doesn't happen by chance. It happens by actually being active and participating in the role that you have. And some of the conversations we've had recently, and Cory and I had this in our beta test group, is do you even want to be here? Because what it takes to get to that level means that you have to be tapping into building community and not just being a passenger or a cog in the wheel and asking yourself, do I want to do that? But no, eventually, like the more you make those deposits, it does happen and it does come. And it's amazing when someone's, here's the referral.
Slowly at first and then very, very fast. See, I think you guys missed my joke. So everyone out in the audience, I am recording this from my phone, but I didn't shut things down. So I still have all these people calling and wanting to move forward with Amaze Insights. So
nice example. I love that. All right. So let's get that the brass tacks, guys. What is your single best advice, Nick, for capturing data?
I'm obviously biased, but I would say letting someone that's a professional and understands the space actually capture the data in the way that you're going to use it. And this is not specific to Amaze, but this is because data by itself, like you can pull all the data in the world together, but it doesn't do you any good unless it is in an actionable format. So that would be my advice. And this is true, not even just in hospitality, in every single industry. It is now very easy to capture raw data, but the value in that, especially if you capture everything, you have nothing. So understanding what is the right data and what is the story that it's telling you. So I would say that is the key. So working with people that truly understand the problem you're trying to solve and then serving up that right set of data at the right time.
Wonderful. All right, Celeste. So your team's been handed these amazing data points. What's one piece of advice you would give your team after reviewing that data?
All right, so I'm going to take a very specific example. Let's say I'm a above property leader who has a region of hotels, and I've pulled that data on function space usage, function space bookings, and I've noticed that we have a window where we're not capturing any catering only business. So catering only business would be no rooms attached. It's a way to fill our meeting space. It's typically highly profitable because we get meeting room rental and or fees, AV rental, food and beverage, so higher profit margin business. And we've identified that there are holes for, I'm going to say 3 hotels. As that leader, I would get those 3 people, salespeople, directors of sales on a call if we're virtually, and I would put together a strategy. And that strategy is going to use some type of GPT. So let's just say ChatGPT, Claude, Copilot, whatever. And I would want to start mining information about who is in the local area that books short-term meetings only. What are businesses? We have prompts for this stuff that we've built. Give me a list of 75 businesses in the area that fall under these parameters. Who has used my competitor hotels? you can pepper AI with all this information to go out and scour the internet and to bring it back to you. So that is one tactical way that you can quickly get a list of 50, 100, 75 companies, organizations that have used, are in your local area, have some type of common denominator that could fill that space. And then I would work with the team on how are we going to go after this business? We're not going to call them up and ask them if they have any meeting space needs, but we're going to come up with a talk track that then introduces our property to them and keeps us top of mind, or uses some type of signal or information I can find online. So that would be my one piece of tactical information to find new business, because all of us want new business. Yes, repeat business is great, but new business is awesome, that you could use just for that function space that would allow you to have a plan that your team could work over the next coming weeks and or months.
Love it.
That's fantastic. So in that same lines, let's talk about real world examples. Nick, can you share one example of a success with data?
Absolutely. And this is a story I actually told earlier today, and it's a real story that actually happened. I was at the HSMAI Long Beach event, and I was just having a chat with someone during the meeting, and I happened to be ear hustling, and I heard two people next to me saying, we used to spend 6 hours on a Sunday night getting ready for that meeting and pulling everything together. And now I pull up the tool in the meeting live and have the conversation. So they were talking about meetings with asset managers, and I had my Amaze lanyard on, and I said, I'm sorry, what tool were you talking about? And they said, oh, we got this new thing. It's called Amaze, and we're doing that. And I pointed to myself and I said, I actually am from Amaze. And that, for me, what was so important about it, not because it was about our product, but because I got to see the true impact of it. And I still remember the COO from Aimbridge. We were at a meeting in Las Vegas with all of their sellers, and what he said is, you're not just making their work lives better, you're making their lives better, because they're now with their family instead of chasing that down. So to me, there's no better success story than understanding you can have a real fundamental impact on someone by simplifying the way they have to get the data that they're using.
No more
Because they were
Sunday
already doing it.
Scare.
It was just a lot of work. Sorry, Celeste.
Yes, no more Sunday Scare. I lived that, right? Spending every weekend pulling together information for the Monday, for 19 of us to sit around the table on Monday morning to discuss who was on the naughty list in our portfolios. And it was the Sunday Scaries. It was a lot. And to your point, time away from our family. And the advances in technology have made access to data just like immediate. But then we also have to take action, which is what we're talking about on this call, taking action. Like, the data is great, but it's like the what comes next. And those properties that have both of those together, it's a winning combination.
Well, that's a great example. So you did give us an illustration. Could you give us a real world example, Celeste, from taking those insights into a win on the property side from action?
So I will say a recent one. I don't know if it's a win yet because we're only a couple weeks post, but earlier this month, I was in, I won't say where, but I was in Whistler with a team on site. And something new that I've done, and we're going to incorporate this in our live training as well, it doesn't have to be in person, is a plan. I started it when I was with the Boston hotels, is whenever anybody comes to training, I want them to leave with an actual plan that they can implement. So I used to do how to saturate your top, and then how to find 5 target accounts. So how do I find more people at each one of those accounts? And then we would do that for target accounts, brand new business. So now I've done a fun exercise that builds on the 2 days, creating a strategy to find $100,000 in new business. So the sellers spend 2 days learning AI tools, LinkedIn, prompting, digging deep to come up with a strategy on how they would find $100,000 in new business. And so it was amazing to see this past cohort go through that, where in small groups, they actually came up with a detailed plan. This is specific accounts, names of people at the accounts, the numbers, the emails, and then what are we going to do from a content strategy, from an outreach strategy? Who do I know? The referrals, as Nick was talking to. So we build a robust plan that they can leave and then implement. So I would say I haven't heard yet of wins that have come from that, but it is a complete strategy that they put in place that all comes from the data of we have a need period, we need new business over these dates. Now let's go build a plan around it and then let's execute the plan. All because of tech and AI, we're able to do that very quickly. So senior leadership has been loving that because it's actually tactical. It's not theory. I will report back on wins that I found. I do get a couple immediate wins. We had one from our beta group. I was able to tap into, I didn't know that this company existed, and now I found them online and I set up a meeting with them. I had one recently where someone said, I didn't know that this planner existed. I've pinged them. They've now agreed to meet me at this trade show, all because they uncovered ways that they could interact with people that is outside of their own CRM and their email.
Love it.
Wonderful. Hey guys, great discussion. We could be here all day. We got to save something for another round. Nick, thank you for joining us. We've got Nick Horgan, Amaze Insights. You find him on LinkedIn. Celeste.
He's winning all the time. So take it up.
Sales on Tap. Celeste, Berke, Knisely. Both of them active LinkedIn users. Come connect, get in some discussions with them. All the cool people on LinkedIn.
Appreciate it, and so enjoyed spending time with both of you. You're both truly awesome people, and can't wait to hear those updates, Celeste, of the more than $100,000 in business that was unlocked by your strategies, and always great to see both of you.
Yes, thank you so much for your time. I'll see you guys on LinkedIn.
Thanks, guys.